We're going to continue looking at some of the options for searching on images in Google. So I've got a split screen here. I've got some pictures on the left, and I've got Google's homepage on the right. And what I want to do is I want to find more pictures like this. Okay, I've already got some because I did a web search, but you might just have a single picture. You might have a file that's on your computer, and you want to find other images that are similar. And we are going to go to Google's homepage here and click on Images. The little camera appears here, and after that appears, we can click and drag, and we can drop an image. It will search for that image for us, other ones that are similar to it, and we get all these down here, which are pretty similar. And then I'm going to click on the picture here, and we're going to go to our tools over here. And we can filter some more. We can click on size, and we have some choices here. We can pick on, select the dominant color. We can filter on color. In this case, if we pick some of these other options here, we don't get any results at all. So we're going to go back to any color here. That feature for colors is probably more useful if you're looking for a drawing or some kind of a clip art or something like that. We can also search for type, so we can look for a clip art or a line drawing or a GIF or GIF file, and we can also find out when it was placed on the internet. So we've got a number of options here for searching on pictures in Google. I'll flip back over the Google Tips page here, and the next option is foreign language translation. We're not going to do an example of that, but this is something you don't need very often. If for some reason you find yourself on a foreign language site and you don't understand a word of anything that's on the page, then you can ask Google to translate for you. You can also talk to Google. Let's flip over to Google here again. Let's click on the microphone, and Briarcliff University. And there it is. I've still got it set on images, so I get a bunch of pictures, but if I had selected all, then it would give me the search results. Let's flip back over to Google Tips here, and we can find out how many links there are to a page. Okay, so let's click on openlinkprofiler.org. So let's type in briarcliff.edu, and this will come back and it will tell me how many links there are to Briarcliff. So there are 14,000 links from this many websites, so it looks like there's an average of about 10 to 12 links per website that point to Briarcliff, and it breaks it down over here. So you can find out how popular a web page is by looking at something like this. And if you want to find out who owns a web page, there's a site here called easywhois.com. Let's click on that. When the website was created, they've been around a while, 1993, when it was last updated, and this is the registration information, not when the page was updated, obviously. And it gives you some other information down here about who to contact, who's in charge of the website. It gives you some addresses and phone numbers and so on. So you may be interested in finding out whether a website is real. There's a lot of garbage out there, and sometimes if it helps to find out who the owner of the page is, that can give you some information on the site's credibility. Okay, let's go back to Google Tips. And I've got a couple of links here that I'm not going to go into in the video. You can check these out on your own sometime. So some strategies to determine whether you should trust a website or not. And my answer to that is basically never trust it unless you've verified it. So check the URL. There are some that are legitimate, but there are a lot of others out there. They're just personal web pages with somebody's opinion, and it's not necessarily fact. So just because you find it someplace on the web doesn't mean that it's true. You should do as much as you can to verify stuff, especially if the stuff looks like it might be a little bit questionable. Okay, we can also do some things with maps and geography. If you want to, let's try this one, Briarcliff University. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to maximize this. We don't need those pictures of the Parthenon anymore. And we're going to go over here, and we're going to hit the Enter key. It's already there. And so here's some information about it. You can typically find an address and a phone number and some other useful information. Let's flip back over to Google Tips here. You can do reverse phone number lookup. If you type in, this is less and less useful for individuals because most people have cell phones and do not have landlines now, so there is no phone book to look this stuff up in. But businesses almost certainly still do have landlines, and those are going to be indexed. And if I type in phone number here and just enter it in and do a Control-V and hit Enter, it will come back and it will tell me what that phone number links to. Okay, let's go back here, and we can do an area code lookup. So 712 is our area code. I'm going to do another one that I know. Let's type in 212, and I'm just going to hit Enter. I'm not even going to choose area code there, and it will come back and it will tell me song, number, and area codes. Okay, so it will give me a map. This is New York City, Manhattan, I think. Yeah, that is the island of Manhattan, and it looks like it's actually more than one area code because they got a lot of people stuffed in a very small amount of space there. Okay, let's hit the back arrow a couple times, and let's go back to Google Tips. You can also do a zip code, and you will get a map showing you that zip code area. Let's try another one. And that's another one out in New York City. There's a town in New York City called Briarcliff Manor, and that's their zip code. Okay, let's go back to Google Tips here. Maps.google.com. Let's go over here and just do maps. So here we are, and Briarcliff University. Let's see if we can find that. Let me see. This is Hamilton Boulevard. Let's zoom in here, and there's Briarcliff. Okay, and you can also switch to a satellite view here. Okay, now that I've zoomed in, I should have a better chance of actually dropping him on the right spot. And I'm going to drop that little green dot, and here's the hill coming up to Briarcliff. And it's a little bit awkward doing this sometimes, but if you play around with it enough, you can usually get where you want to go. Okay, let's get out of there. Let's go back to our original Google search. And let's flip over to Google Tips here, and you can find coordinates. If you have an address, you can go to this website right here, and if you need the geographic coordinates, it will give you the latitude and longitude. So I'm going to type in, we will just try Sioux City, Iowa. Okay. And I assume what we get for that will be someplace probably near the middle of Briarcliff, or sorry, near the middle of Sioux City. And so it's pointing right to downtown somewhere. So that's somewhere near near the center of the city. Let's go back. Go back to Google Tips. You can also go the other way around. If you have a latitude and longitude, you can look up an address. So I have no idea where I'm going to end up here, but my latitude is going to be, we'll do 45 degrees north, which would be a plus 45. And for our longitude, we are going to do let's do 90 degrees, and that should be west. Well, apparently it wanted more precision, even though the precision was a bunch of zeros. And let's see where this is. Let's zoom out here. And I had my signs wrong. 90 is to the east of 0 degrees. So I'm going to go up here and put a minus in front of it, and we will convert that. Okay, and so here, let's check out the map. And it looks like that is someplace in Wisconsin. So there's Minneapolis. Here's Wausau, Wisconsin. And if I drag that down to the middle here and just zoom in on it a little bit. Okay, so there we go. It looks like it did a little bit of rounding here, but you can find latitude and longitude information from an address, or you can find an address from latitude and longitude information if you know where to go on the internet. So let's go back to Google Tips here. We have a book search. You can find the full text of a number of books. These are books that have to be out of copyright. I'm not going to click on that link there. There's another interesting website to go to, and that is Gutenberg. Let's just type in, because I don't remember the exact address, and it is Gutenberg.org. So let's go, and they have over 60,000 free books. These have to be older books or else books that are not protected by copyright. But they have a ton of books out here, and they've got a bunch of different formats for reading those books. So if you're looking for some older books sometime, check this out. These do not do searches. They're just something that somebody at Google with way too much free time on his hands implemented. So if you have a bit of free time and you want to play sometime, check those out too.